everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about computation in case of imports. We are also going to talk about valuation in case of imports and computation in case of export transactions. See, when we talk about value, the first thing which comes to our mind is transaction value. What's transaction value? Transaction value is the price actually paid or payable for the goods at the time of importation. So when I say at the time of importation, what's the significance of this? Please understand. Say suppose I import a particular product for 4,000 US dollars, but the prices have fallen down. Before the goods come into India, I renegotiate with my supplier and he says that I will allow you to take it at $3,500 and I get a renegotiated invoice. Now my question to you is, should I pay custom duty based on $4,000 or $3,500? The answer is price actually paid or payable at the time of importation, and importation takes place when I file bill of entry for home consumption. So while I am filing bill of entry for home consumption, the renegotiated price is 3,500, which will be considered. And be very careful about one more thing. The moment you talk about a renegotiation which is after clearing goods, that will not be of no significance, because in such cases, obviously you will not get any refund from custom authorities or government. So price actually paid or payable. And remember one more thing, with the price transaction value, certain adjustments are done. These adjustments are given in Rule 10 of Custom Valuation Rules 2007. So these adjustments are required to be done. These adjustments are similar, I would not say are similar to transaction value inclusions in GST. Like any charges, incidental or ancillary was added. It is similar to that. Then we have the second type of valuation, which is tariff value. See, tariff value, CBIC has got a power to notify value for certain goods or services. Obviously, services will not come. Be very careful on this. It's only goods. So, tariff value for goods which are mentioned in Custom Tariff Act, for specific goods, CBIC can decide and put a value. Now, the moment CBIC decides this value, you will have to adopt this value which is notified by CBIC. You cannot go by transaction value if CBIC has notified value for a particular product. Remember one thing very carefully. Say suppose you have imported a product for 100 rupees. CBIC says the tariff value will be 120. You will have to pay custom duty on 120. If CBIC had said 80, still you will have to pay custom duty based on 80. Transaction value will not be relevant in case tariff value is notified by CBIC. Clear with this? And there would not be any adjustments to be done in that simple reason, because the value which CBIC is giving is after considering any kind of adjustments as well. Yes? Okay. Then when we talk about a particular case of no tariff value being notified, if tariff value is not notified, no problems. You will just do transaction value and close the valuation. Now, the next question which arises is, which day's rate of exchange do you use and which day's rate of custom duty do you use? Because out of these two, what you get is assessable value. Now, to this assessable value, you have to apply custom duty. You start with basic custom duty, add social welfare surcharge. Remember, social welfare surcharge is only on basic custom duty. And thereafter, on the entire amount, you add CVD under section 3(7) of Custom Tariff Act 1975. So CVD under section 3(7) is nothing but to counter IGST. So this is equivalent to the IGST rate applicable for same goods which are sold in India. Social welfare surcharge is applicable on BCD. BCD is applicable on assessable value. On all these three taken together, plus any other taxes, CVD under section 37 will be applicable. So IGST will be applicable on the entire amount. All three taken together, this valuation is given in section 3(8) of Custom Tariff Act. Now, what about compensation cess? If compensation cess is applicable, then compensation cess has to be charged based on CVD under section 3(9). But remember, on whatever value you are charging 3(7), the same would be the value for charging compensation cess. There is no separate valuation for compensation cess. IGST is not applicable on compensation cess. Compensation cess is not applicable on IGST. Now the question is, based on which day's rate will you convert dollars into INR and which day's rate of duty will be considered? Both are different. Rate of exchange is to convert dollar into INR or any other foreign currency into INR. Rate of duty is which day's rate of duty will be used, because custom duty rates might change. Which rate will be considered? Let's try to understand. Rate of exchange will be as on the date of filing first bill of entry. So whenever you file your first bill of entry, that day's rate of exchange will be considered. This first bill of entry can be either bill of entry for home consumption or it can be into bond bill of entry. So whatever you are filing, based on that, you have to determine the rate of exchange. Bill of entry for home consumption or into bond bill of entry. The first bill of entry which you file. Rate of duty is different. See, in case you are clearing from the warehouse, then rate of duty will be based on date of filing X bond bill of entry. Be very careful. This is where institute can confuse you. Exchange is into bond bill of entry. Rate of duty will be X bond. Be very careful. Then, in case you are clearing from the port or airport, in such cases, it would be the rate as on filing bill of entry for home consumption or entry inwards / arrival of aircraft, whichever is later. Very important word. Whichever is later. That means, in such cases, bill of entry for home consumption or entry inwards, the later of the date will be considered for rate of duty. Because, say suppose you file a prior bill of entry. Prior bill of entry meaning before the vessel has come, you file bill of entry for home consumption. So that you can clear the goods quickly. Till now, goods ही नहीं आया है. Can you use that date? The answer is no. In such cases, the law says whichever is later. So the moment entry inwards or arrival happens, that rate will be considered. Very clear with this? So remember, see this very carefully. This is where institute will confuse. Bill of entry for home consumption, here it is whichever is later. And say suppose smugglers, in case of smuggling, what would it be? Sir, in case of smugglers, that is in any other case, it would be date of payment of custom duty. The day payment of custom duty is done, that day's rate of duty will be considered. Clear with this? Yes. Say suppose there is a substitution. So I substitute bill of entry for home consumption with into bond. Any problem? No sir, no problem, because then you will consider X bond. That happens at a later point of time. But say suppose I convert into bond. First I gave into bond. Then I immediately say no, I want to clear the goods now and I file bill of entry for home consumption. Which day's rate of duty will be considered? Sir, date of substitution. When I say date of substitution, what do I mean? The day when I file that bill of entry for home consumption, that is date of substitution. If there is some error in bill of entry for home consumption, you can file an amendment. Which one will be considered? Original date or amendment? Original date will be considered. Clear with this? Yes. So this was the basic structure of how things work in case of import of any particular goods. Transaction value, tariff value, then you have assessable value, BCD and social welfare surcharge, 3(7), 639 is charged. Which day's rate of duty? Which date rate of exchange? Yes? Oh. Now let's move forward. Now we have to determine how do we come to this assessable value. This will be our target. Let's see how can we come to this assessable value. Now, the first thing. In case of exports, you consider the FOB price because goods are going from India. In case of imports, you consider the CIF price. So it's a long journey. When I say it's a long journey, it starts from the exporter's premise and ends at the Indian port. So all the costs from the exporter's premise till the Indian port will form part of value. There are various rules given to this. There are various transactions which can take place. Let's have a look at what transactions can take place. Now, see this with numbers. Let's start with 1. But before that, this is outside India. That is exporter's premise. And this is India, Indian port. That is import port. Correct? Okay. You incur various expenditures. See, the first thing is ex-factory price. Ex-factory price in our example is $20,000. Will ex-factory price be part of value? The obvious answer is yes. What about cost of transportation from exporter's premise till the export port? Obviously yes. What about handling charges at the export port? Obviously the answer is yes. All these three, that is 1, 2, 3 taken together is called as FOB. Now, once I arrive at FOB, I need to make some adjustments which are given in Rule 10. Now, what are these adjustments actually? Now, say suppose there is commission. That commission which is paid to a local agent, that has to be added. Remember, buying commission will not form part of value, but commission will form part of value. Any cost of additional packing, secondary packing, necessary packing, all such cases will be added. Say suppose design charges incurred outside India, yes, that will also be added. Design charges incurred in India, that won't be added in this particular case. Any material which is supplied free of cost, in that case, that material which is supplied free of cost, that will also be added. Any other cost which you are paying as a condition of sale, that will also be added. Say suppose you are paying a royalty as a condition of sale on that particular product. In such cases, again, that royalty or after sale fee will also get added to the value. Where do you adjust all these which I have just mentioned? You adjust it to the FOB. Once you adjust it to the FOB, you arrive at actual FOB. Now, once you get actual FOB, you add freight, you add insurance, and you get your CIF. Our target will always be to reach CIF because CIF is considered to be assessable value. Now, there are various other aspects which needs to be considered. First, let me tell you, any demurrage charges. Demurrage charges are incurred at the import port, will not form part of value. Any transportation from import port to the factory? No. Any landing charges at the import port? No, it will not be added. Ship demurrage. Hey, what do I mean by ship demurrage? Ship demurrage is when the bigger vessel cannot come to this place. There are some charges like ship demurrage, lighterage or barge. Barge meaning small vessels which will bring the goods from this large vessel to the port. This ship demurrage will be added because any cost up to this place will be added to value. Up to this place. That is CIF. Now, there are certain rules given. Say suppose freight. We talk about two kinds of freight. One, vessel, and the second one is aircraft. Say suppose vessel actual is given. When I mean actual na, be very careful. Actual means a mixture of lot of things. I will come to it at the end. So if actual is given, then please take actuals. If actual is not given, then 20% of actual FOB. What do I mean by 20% of actual FOB? This one. This which I am making green now. 20% of actual FOB. In case of aircraft, if actual is given, see the relief given by government. Government says actual or 20% of actual FOB, whichever is lower. So government is giving me a benefit in case of aircraft, because in case of aircraft, the transportation expenditure is very high, which causes people to get discouraged of getting goods through aircraft. So that's why government has given this benefit, whichever is lower will be considered. If actual is not given, in that case, 20% of actual FOB. Okay. When you talk about insurance, if actual is given, please take actuals. If actuals is not given, in that case, 1.125% of actual FOB. Did you understand this? Yes. Now coming to the most important thing. See. Freight, loading, unloading at the export port, transport from the export premise to the export port, ship demurrage. All these together are considered as actual. This has a very important meaning. Listen to me very carefully. Now, in this example which you can see on your screen, see, freight actual is available. $2,000. This is 200, this is 600, and this is 10,000 rupees. Everything is available. And you can see that it's a vessel transportation. So if actual is given, no problem, you will just consider actual. Game over. But say suppose vessel, this $2,000 is not given. This $2,000 is not given. Now when $2,000 is not given, you cannot take actual. If you cannot take actual, what will you do? You will consider 20% of FOB. Now the moment you consider 20% of FOB, 20% of FOB includes ship demurrage, includes this export port handling charges, and includes cost of transportation. That means now you will have to remove that cost of transportation, handling charges, and ship demurrage. You should not consider it because it is already included in 20% of FOB. But remember one important thing. To calculate this 20% of FOB, first so you should add that 600 and 200. Until and unless you add this 600 and 200, you will not get your actual FOB. So first so you have to add it. And thereafter, when you are applying 20%, it is already considered as part of 20%. In such cases, you will have to remove that cost of transportation from the exporter's premise till the export port and any handling charges which is incurred at the export port. These two are to be removed and ship demurrage has to be ignored because it is already included in 20% of FOB. So whenever you do a comparison, be very careful. Two types of problems. One, where all the information is given. Then you have to consider actuals. You will do the entire computation as required. But if one of the information is not given or it's a question of aircraft, tell me, if it's a question of aircraft, you consider actual or 20% of FOB. Now when you say actual, that actual will include everything and you will compare it with 20%. If 20% is accepted, in that case, you will have to remove these two fellows. Which two fellows? This one, and this one. Because it is already part of that 20%. As it is already part of 20%, you will exclude it. This is a benefit which is available to us and obviously we should utilize it. Clear with this? Sure. Be very careful. Keep this picture in mind and you will get the answer for your CIF. Plus, remember one very important point. What's that important point? Say suppose FOB plus freight is given to you together. If FOB plus freight is given together and breakup is not available, how will you get insurance? FOB plus freight given, how will you arrive at insurance? And breakup is not available. Then the law says apply 1.125% on this entire FOB plus freight. Apply on that entire FOB plus freight. Similarly, if FOB plus insurance is given to you and breakup is not available, the most important point is breakup is not available. If breakup is available, directly you will apply on FOB. If breakup is not available, freight will be considered as 20% of these two. Clear with this? Yes. In a normal circumstance, you would have done some mathematics and removed freight and then applied it on FOB. The law says no. If breakup is not available, then apply it on the total amount. And remember, any exportation cost after import port will not be considered as part of CIF. Cost, insurance, freight will be considered as assessable value. Clear with this? Yes. Now let's talk about valuation rules. See, when we talk about valuation rules in case of import starts with Rule 3. Valuation rules 2007. Rule 2 is the definition clause. Rule 3 says that consider Rule 4 to 9 sequentially. That means you have to follow 4, then only you can follow 5. This is the first thing. The law also clearly says that in case of related person transaction, if you can prove that the price is not influenced, in that case, transaction value will be accepted. Plus, if there is any resale proceeds flowing to the exporter, that resale proceeds has to be added. And lastly, there should not be any geographical conditions or restrictions on sale. If there is a small geographical condition regarding selling only in South India, then that is permitted. Otherwise, there should not be any condition for further sale. In such cases, transaction value will be accepted. Otherwise, the value will be based on Rule 4 to 9 sequentially. Now, what does Rule 4 to 9 provide? Rule 4 speaks about identical goods. Now, what is identical goods? Identical goods are goods which are same in all respect, and in such cases you don't find a characteristic which is different but which does not influence the price. Then say suppose the color might differ but the price remains same. So some small variation which does not affect the price, it will be considered as identical goods. So the law says that if you are valuing a particular product, say suppose you are valuing a particular television. If you are valuing this television and you have got it free of cost. If you have got it free of cost, tell me, will custom duty be applicable? The answer is yes, because in case of custom duty, there is no need of consideration or in the course or furtherance of business. Just mere import is liable to custom duty. So even if you are importing this television free of cost, custom duty will be applicable. But here, you are getting it free, goods are not sold, price is not the sole consideration. How will you value it? The law says, value it based on identical goods. Identical goods, same TV at or about the same time when it is imported. Say suppose it is imported for $5,000, you will use the value of $5,000 for valuing this identical goods. Say suppose sir, there are multiple transactions. In that case, consider the same commercial level and substantially the same quantity. Same commercial level, substantially the same quantity. But sir, in same commercial level, if there are different prices like $5,000, $4,200, then the law says consider whichever is lower. Oh, wonderful. Consider whichever is lower. So be very careful. Identical goods, first of all, identical goods are those goods which are manufactured from the same country, same manufacturer. If same manufacturer is not available, in that case, different manufacturer can also be used, but not a different country. See, you will use different manufacturer only when same manufacturer data is not available. Then you will consider the same quantity, same commercial level, and if there are different prices at that same commercial level, then the loss is whichever is lower. Plus, whenever you are talking about identical goods will never cover a case where designing is done in India free of cost. For a product for which designing is done in India free of cost, tell me that designing cost of India will not be considered as part of price. When it is not considered as part of price, that cannot be considered as identical goods. And in such cases, you are not required to do that comparison. It will not be considered as identical goods. Clear? Okay. Say suppose there are no identical goods. Then what to do? Then law says rule 5. Use similar goods, and similar goods are interchangeable. Similar goods, they are not of the same characteristic, but they have similar reputation, similar materials which are used. Then similar goods value can be used. Again, whatever you saw in identical goods, same conditions are applicable even for similar goods. So first try to find out identical goods, value it based on identical goods. If that is not available, then value it based on similar goods. If that is also not available, rule 6 does not provide any valuation. It is called as directive rule. It just gives you a direction. It says apply 7 and then apply 8. Then it says you can also request proper officer to follow 8 and then 7. Oh, wonderful. So 6 is directive rule. It says follow 7 and then 8. If you are not able to follow 7 before 8, you can request proper officer that I will follow 8 because that is more suitable to me. In which case will you do it? I'll tell you. Rule 7 is deductive value. Hey, when we say deductive value, what do you mean? See, till now we were trying to compute the value, that is CIF in India. Deductive value means sale price of importer. Importer has imported that, sale price of that importer, and then you go back to CIF. Sale price will include profit margin, will include other post importation costs. All that has to be subtracted and arrived at CIF. So this is called as deductive value. It is similar to your direct tax. You learn resale price method. Yeah, it is similar to that resale price method. And then if this is also not possible, then go by rule 8, computed value. This is cost plus computed value. What is computed value? Computed value is from the exporter's premise, that is here, from the exporter's premise till you reach CIF, exporter's cost, exporter's profit, freight, insurance, you will arrive at everything and come to CIF. Sir, how will we get all this information? That's why rule 8 is normally used between related parties. See, if your holding is sending you, a subsidiary is receiving from holding, it's a related person transaction, transaction value will not be accepted. In such cases, you might go with rule 8 because you will have the information readily available. You will have the information from the holding company. You will present that and go with 8 before using 7. That's why here you can use 8 then use 7. 8. We are with this. Yes. And deductive value has a time that sale price within 90 days has to be considered. Now, if this is also not possible, then you have rule 9, that is reasonable means. Adopt reasonable means and arrive at the value. But when you are arriving at reasonable means, please don't use the export price to some other country. Don't use the domestic price of that particular country. Don't use the domestic price in India for reasonable means. Okay. Rule 10 is all the adjustments. We learned all the adjustments along with that freight, insurance, 20%, 1.125%, all that is provided in rule 10. Coming to rule 11. Rule 11 provides for declaration by importer. And what's the declaration which importer would give? Importer would give a declaration saying that whatever I have stated is true and correct. Finally, rule 12 gives a power where officer can reject the value. This is a power which is available where officer can reject the value which has been declared by you. But he has to give the reasons in writing and you have to ask for it. If he does not give the reasons in writing and just reject it, then there is a case law, Gira Enterprises, which said that in such cases the rejection is invalid. Clear with this? Yes. So this is how the rules of valuation are framed. You go from rule 4 till you touch rule 12. Yes. Now, what happens in case of export? In case of export, you consider FOB and the calculation is very simple, people. FOB into export duty rate, that's it. And you get your export duty. FOB into export duty rate. Why FOB? Because in case of export, the price in India is considered. FOB into export duty rate will give you export duty. Normally, export duty is not there. But in some cases, it might be given. Which day's rate of exchange do you use and which day's rate of duty do you use? Rate of exchange will be on the date of filing shipping bill. Rate of duty will be based on the order given by proper officer for clearance of export goods. That day's rate of duty will be considered. Don't apply any social welfare surcharge. Don't apply CVD under section 3739. Nothing. It's a simple calculation of FOB into export duty and then you get your export duty payable. In this case, obviously you have valuation again. Rule 3 says follow rule 4 to 6 sequentially and rule 4 in this says comparison. Comparison. When we say comparison, you compare the export price for one country vis-a-vis other country, and in case you are sending something free of cost, you will value the other also at the comparative value. Then rule 5 says computed value. Obviously here computed value is easy. Cost plus profit plus any transportation expenses till you reach FOB. And finally 6 talks about reasonable means. 7 is a declaration by exporter that everything which he has stated is true, and 8 is rejection of value. See, here the officer rejects the value because you would have inflated the value. Why will you inflate the value in case of exports? To claim various export benefits. And that's why in such cases there is a possibility that officer rejects the export value where he thinks it is higher. Now, the last discussion in this is valuation in case of warehoused goods. Now, what happens in case of warehoused goods? See, when you talk about warehoused goods, you have stored the goods in a warehouse and now you are selling these goods. You are selling these goods while they are in the warehouse. See, while they are in warehouse, if you sell the goods, then GST is not applicable because it is covered by negative list. So, sale of goods when they are in the warehouse, no GST is applicable because it is covered by negative list schedule 3. But what will be the value for clearing these goods? Say suppose this belonged to A and A has sold it to B. When A is selling to B, there is no GST applicable. But when B is clearing these goods, he has to pay CVD under section 37 on assessable value plus basic custom duty plus social welfare surcharge and any other duties. This is your normal calculation for 37, or transaction value, whichever is higher. Now, what is this transaction value? This transaction value is the price at which A has sold the goods to B. A has made a sale. that value or assessable value plus BCD plus social welfare surcharge, whichever is higher. But say suppose this is half sold, half goods are sold and half goods A is going to clear. Will this same computation apply to A? The answer is no. For A, he has to pay CVD under section 37 on assessable value plus BCD plus social welfare surcharge. And remember, for both the cases, starting point will be same. Assessable value will remain same. Don't start applying BCD on assessable value or transaction value, whichever is higher. Assessable value for both will remain same. Plus BCD plus social welfare surcharge. This is the amount on which you charge 37. You will compare this with transaction value and whichever is higher. On that, you will have to discharge CVD under section 37. Same value will apply for CVD under section 39 for the purpose of compensation cess. And these two are given in 38A and 310A of Custom Tariff Act 1975. Clear with this? Yes, a very important segment. See some questions on this. Yes? Okay. See you all. Bye bye.